stepping in when he knows he can get the win.
Well, we'll see which one of these AD carries is going to step up as we hop into Champion Select. First off, it will be the Cassiopeia band away from Ryu there in the mid lane. Had a great performance on that champion.
Again,
going to be the next one.
Question marks on if someone's going to pick up Aurelion Sol since he's been enabled. Syndra has pretty much been the flavor of the tournament so far.
I would love to see Scout pick it up because I think stylistically, if you look at EDG, they are a team that likes playing around bot lane. ClearLove likes ending his path on the Scuttle Crab on the right side of the map, likes influencing that lane router. If you combine that with a pushing laner like an Aurelion Sol that can push in any, if not all matchups, maybe not in the Syndra one, then you could actually get a big old bot lane party. And ironically, that is one of the things that Forgiven hates the most in life.
And I certainly expect that it fits into his wheelhouse, but there's actually big question marks over the LPL teams and Aurelion Sol specifically. It was not played in the region. It was only played twice by Saint and Team WE, so none of the teams attending Worlds. Oh, excuse me, Bamey also played it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we never really touched it. Of course, we've had a long boot camp, a long break, but question's still there if they'll pick up the champion at all.
Yeah, well, Nara is going to be the final ban here for EDG, going alongside Kennen and Cassiopeia. The Poppy was banned away from Mouse, so can't go back to that tank.
It almost feels like we're going to get a Jace Rumble matchup in the top lane, regardless of who picks either side here, because so many top laner bans in a tournament where we've seen so many jungler bans here. Nidalee is still open, the expected first pick, where we have the likes of Syndra and Aurelion too, which we have to think about.
And that's the other thing, the question mark. If Aurelion Sol wasn't played much into the LPL, neither was Nidalee picked up by ClearLove.
All right, this is a clear trade here by H2K. They lost ban Nami, telling EDG, yes, you were getting the Nidalee, you get it, but it's going to be an early rotation karma here for Vander, and that should be the breaking point where H2K can still play the familiar lane push bully style with Forgiven and Vander, and it could actually enable Jankos to forgo pressure in the bot lane and camp top lane with Odoamne and maybe breach the top lane matchup and get Mouse down again.
And again, just to underline this, it is that Nidalee lock-in like you were talking about, Krepo, but ClearLove really doesn't show Nidalee during the regular season of the LPL. This is a big question mark. Obviously, it fits in that wheelhouse. It's a very aggressive jungler. It likes to apply pressure on the lanes, likes to have that heavy farming style so he can be flexible, but I have no idea what ClearLove will look like on this champion.
And I want to see what the second pick here is. Is it going to be the Sivir Karma? Just a super standard, you know, AFK push bot lane. What is H2K thinking about? Does Ryu want an early pick, or is he going to keep the counter pick potential in the mid lane? Because tournament meta-wise, we're expecting maybe like a Syndra Karma here, but it does look that H2K wants their favorable side of this Rumble Jace matchup and locks in the Rumble early.
Yeah, I was expecting something like this. Rumble has seen a lot of priority, but we did just see it lose out. See whether it is going to do so again. Actually didn't in the last game, has in the past.
The other
Scout
cool
looking
thing,
at Xerath.
Obviously, the Karma can be used as that flex pick since Nami has been banned.
She's used to saying that one.
I know, a couple of times. It does mean that there is the range advantage unless Meiko goes towards that Bard.
This has been really overlooked. The Syndra now for Scout's Hover.
Yeah, you only have so many picks in a rotation. First rotation has a lot of power picks open.
Yeah.
We were expecting H2K to maybe pick the Syndra early, but the Vladimir is open, and that is a matchup and a champion that Ryu plays well. Some of his best performances were on Vladimir. It is a serviceable matchup where he can at least survive. Yes, he will yield the pressure, but this Karma is almost 100% sure going in the bot lane because it enables Forgiven and Vander to play a push style and hopefully put Deft in a CS deficit, something he is very rarely seeing.
Well, we'll see whether they can do that as the Irelia once again locked in for EDG. Scout on the Syndra makes a lot of sense, but another test for Mouse on the top side of the map.
And Mouse looked, he seemed very vocal the last time Irelia got locked into on the international stage.
But I want to see which jungle pairing comes out. What is Jankos going to do? Is he going to go for the Lee Sin that has seen a resurgence in this tournament, or simply going to lock the Elise and camp top? Because Irelia into Rumble is a very swingy matchup, where if Rumble gets the lead, it's almost impossible for Irelia to escape. And Jankos can get an early game jungler, go top, because their bot lane again has a security. Ryu has a safe counter pick in the mid lane too. We see Ezreal Karma locked in, super safe lane here. So it is all but kind of spelled out that Jankos is going to be paying attention to that top lane.
Yeah, and I also hear that Jankos has got a bit of a habit for first bloods, and he's going to lock away the Lee Sin here for H2K. Forgiven on the Ezreal here, it feels like a pick away from Deft, but of course is still just a phenomenal pick this tournament. Meiko seeing what he wants, and Deft considering the Ashe.
So trying to get some kill pressure into the lane. So if H2K are kind of going all in with their draft, showing their hand that maybe they have the ability to camp that top side of the map, EDG now kind of playing and toying with picking up really hard CC or kill pressure into that bot lane.
I do like that as well, pairing it with that Nidalee jungle. You do need to complement that pick with CC. We were talking about it for a fair bit.
It's still very risky, though, because you're against such a safe, self-sufficient lane in Ezreal and Karma. Locking those two down, Vander and Forgiven would have to massively misplay. They should be able to just sit back and farm with Mystic Shot if things go really sideways.
And the Ezreal in itself is a steal. When we know that Deft is a fantastic Ezreal player, the bonus from that pick, not only does Forgiven get a safe poke laner that complements Karma well, he steals some of his own kind of counters. Because if you play a strong lane, what do you not want to play against? Well, it's a guy that can sit back and farm pretty reliably, and that is exactly that Ezreal. So we see skill matchup here inside of Deft and Meiko. They really need to make something happen. They need to channel their inner Mata and make some combos into Deadly Flourish. If not, they will be pushed in and at least yield the pressure. If not, go down in CS.
If any bot lane will look for 2v2 all-in kills, it will be Meiko and Deft there. They actually 2v2 killed Uzi and Mata multiple times over the regular season of the LPL, so I don't think they're going to step away from the chance to take on Forgiven and Vander.
Speaking of which, Vander now thinking about what he wants to collect for himself and might be heading towards the Tahm Kench, putting that Karma in the mid lane for Ryu.
Because they actually went so deep in kind of trying to counter the poke with a heavy all-in,
that makes more
potential
sense.
Tahm Kench could come out. So they were toying with the idea of either fighting this bot lane and saying, you know what, we'll just choose to go even in terms of matchup and have safety in terms of Devour. But I still think the Karma is such a strong support. Vladimir, as we talked about earlier, serviceable matchup into the Syndra. Very predictable pick ban by H2K though. By no means is EDG surprised here. The only surprise in this entire pick and ban that wasn't predictable was the Rumble first rotation. For the rest, EDG should be very prepared.
Touching back on that Vladimir, it is the most picked champion into Syndra, as well as, like you said, a very comfortable matchup for Ryu. He's performed very well on that champion, so nice to see them go back towards that.
Yeah, a couple breaking points to track throughout the game here is the last chapter on Syndra, the first blue buff on Syndra. Nidalee obviously wants her first one, so it's not like a Rek'Sai who can hand it off. And then the Vladimir kind of goes even once he gets Spirit Visage. That's when he can survive a bit more, get a couple extra pulls in, and maybe have some counter pressure.
I'll see exactly what is going to happen. Some dangerous picks on the side of EDG. I'm scared, honestly, about the Mouse Irelia. We'll see whether he's going to come back. Of course, had a great regular season on it when Irelia was strong. Of course, things changing with her passive, a couple of nerfs. Odoamne, see what he can do. He has been a powerhouse here for H2K. And we want you guys to show your regional pride. Call out the winner of this match on Twitter. Use that hashtag EDGWin or the hashtag H2KWin. Tweet it out towards @LOL Esports. And it's all on the line. EDG need to make a statement here. H2K have a lot of European pride riding on them in this game.
So I want to quickly touch on the Syndra pick, because she's pretty much been the most dominant, standout champion of the tournament so far. You know, maybe outside the Lee Sin performances from Froskurinn and Revolta, respectively. The thing about Syndra is she really kind of swung back into the meta, I think particularly because Gragas was kind of removed from it. She's a very low mobility mid laner, not having that cask and that ability to have kill pressure on her. She then has great matchups across the board against multiple mid lane champions, as well as great dominance and lane control. She has the potential to roam. But the thing is Lee Sin for the longest time when Gragas was strong was kind of considered like the pseudo Gragas.
The poor man's Gragas?
The poor man's Gragas. So I feel like there's still kill pressure if Jankos wants to look mid or top lane, since he does have that Lee Sin post 6.
Yeah, post 6, but the problem is this matchup is heavily influenced in the early game, and that definitely plays a large part in this. We see, if you want to watch Deft solely lane up versus Forgiven, you can go to Riot Games 2, again, hosted by Sifa Rusty and Kiwi Kid, giving you the analysis of that bot lane. We're going to have the bigger picture in mind, especially Jankos versus ClearLove, because where ClearLove isn't really renowned for that Nidalee, yes, he can play her. This is Jankos' 43rd game on Lee Sin.
I'm terrified, Krepo.
Oh, wait a sec.
ClearLove has a reputation that he doesn't adjust to patches very well. He's been meta-resistant since he's been playing for so many years, but it does take him a long time to pick up champions that are very powerful in the meta and perform on them. Nidalee is one of those cases.
Like, meta-resistancy sounds like a good thing. It's like, yeah, resistant to meta. I only
the meta can change, but I will still just play anything and beat you. Don't worry, I have meta resistance.
Give me the Skarner.
And he took it, and they didn't win against OMG the first time around.
We saw, again, you know, the same interaction here where Forgiven and Vander are taking control of the lane. They're doing this stop. This is bold. Oh, Vander.
Oh, the face check. There's the pulverized Deft doing a lot of damage. 2 more bullets in the chamber. Will get the crit, but it's a good exhaust to flash out the heals there.
Still a good laning start, actually, because the enemy AD carry is put low. Meiko and Deft need to invest into push really hard here. Let's see. Gonna use double execute, get the minion push. This is a big mistake by Vander.
There's the flash. Oh my god! The auto attack grenade!
this every single time in the LPL. Gone are the days where Deft is a passive laner and he's just a teamfight AD carry. If you haven't been paying attention to him, he is a god in lane.
But we gotta go on a rant right here.
Go on a rant.
The whole premise of this lane is that you do not have to face check. You can pull the creeps, create a freeze, and outlane a camp start super hard with Ezreal and Karma, and they for hell know it because it's Mithy who piloted that. This face check is just bonkers bad from Vander. This is a major mistake here, and then later on too, heal out of in the ignite here so he doesn't get the full bonus. Then look at Deft, the presence of mind to go for heal boost into auto Q. He stacks his 4th shot. This is so beautifully played by Deft.
Boom.
But a big mistake. You should be able to freeze that lane. Don't go for the face check. Whatever you do not approach any brush. This was the only way H2K could lose that matchup, and they failed from minute 1.
And it's forcing Jankos to actually respond. He's kind of hovering around the bottom side. He's clearing out his jungle, but he needs to be so cautious. Vander doesn't have exhaust or flash. Meiko is still sitting on his flash. Such a key engage tool for that Alistar. So there is a lot of kill pressure bottom.
And we can keep ranting about what could have been, but I think it's important that we look forward here. H2K looking to salvage the lane at least by pushing in, but they won't be able to get as much out of it as they can. ClearLove's also heading to the bot lane. We gotta keep our eyes on Jankos. What can he do for Odoamne in the top lane to snowball against Mouse? Because that's also an incredibly swingy matchup.
Yeah, already feeling a little bit top heavy at the moment, but Mouse struggling just a bit. Odoamne getting that shove from the Rumble. We saw that Flame Spitter being quite difficult for Mouse to deal with.
Yeah, definitely getting pushed in. In terms of item starts as well, look at how Deft approaches this matchup, where he's going down like a lot in early game. He started longsword 3 potions because he knows he's going to take a lot of poke in this matchup, and he wants to stay sustained to avoid the all-in. So you see, for the first time, people deviate from the standard Dorn start on competitive play.
I apologize for not picking that one up. Very interesting.
I didn't know Insider Production told me. At least I get to sound smart.
Don't tell them, Krepo.
Don't tell them that, Krepo. Now everyone's going to doubt all of your incredible points.
I'm actually very impressed with Mouse so far in this matchup. Last time, he was 15 CS down at 5 minutes.
Yep.
So doing much better this time around, 21 to 24. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's head and shoulders better than the start that he had to this tournament.
Now walking back to lane, just over half health here for Mouse, but does have a creep wave in advantage of himself. Ward's down there for Odoamne, but ClearLove not really looking for any ganks just yet, just farming things out. But there's a lot of vision for EDG.
Exactly. All of that vision being placed in the topside river, as well as a pink ward peeking into H2K's red buff there. The fact that they're trying to keep Mouse as safe as possible from Jankos and his early pressure that he could apply top.
But we saw a really good early base from Ryu, because he had the pressure in the mid lane here. Look at the snowball in the bot lane, Deft.
Good mantra here. There's the exhaust. Jankos just got a flash on him. Good pulverize from Meiko, but he's still going to die. There's the Q. Jankos grabs another, and that is going to be the double kill for Forgiven. Welcome back to the lane, H2K.
All the vision for EDG was on the top side, and they leave themselves exposed by pushing too far on the bot side. Really good opening by Vander. Let's look at that again here. Double Q slow here, and at this point, Deft is flashless, and he gets slowed enough by the exhaust here. And this is a mistake from Deft to Meiko. Yes, they're really good at playing aggressively, but when your vision is so top-centric, you gotta respect the bottom side of the map and your summoners.
Meiko also burning his flash there, trying to save his AD carry and catching Lee Sin when he went for the kill. So checking in on those summoners. Deft summoner flash will be back up and available soon, but Meiko is vulnerable.
And suddenly, that really large mistake from the early game, where we criticize H2K, has honestly been wiped clean from the slate, and even another point has been added to H2K because they get 2 kills. They really used that window where Deft's summoners were down to punish them.
And it's where they got the 2 kills as well. The fact that they both went on to Forgiven instead of one being split up into the jungle. So massive spike for this Ezreal. He gets to grab his tier as well as that pickaxe.
Big change for the bottom lane for H2K. We'll see whether Jankos will continue that pressure or have a look top, as Mouse still struggling. 10 CS down approximately, but that's a wave pushing towards him once again. Odoamne, see whether he can get the better of him as things move forward. Vander is getting the vision down.
Well, pink wards here, really important, you know, get river vision behind yourself. Be aware of what can happen here. Once these laners hit level 6, they can definitely influence this bot lane too. But the one thing that Deft's aggression has caused in the bot lane though, has forced Jankos to react to the bottom side of the map. And probably in H2K's game plan, it was likely for Jankos to go top early to influence that swinging matchup. So the aggression from Deft early has made it so that Mouse at least has a free laning phase at the start of the game.
That said, with his free laning phase, he's still significantly down, 46 to 60 CS.
But it's the nature of the matchup very early on. If
Yeah.
Odoamne is pushing without any pressure, you're forced to last on the tower. Also, once Irelia hits 6 and has flash, she can all in the rumble, because you can flash away both from the direct flame splitter and the equalizer, and you actually have very high all in there.
Well, good ward from Jankos. He's going to spot out the fact that ClearLove's taking down this blue buff. See whether it is going to be handed over to Scout, which it looks like it is. Mid lane has been very quiet. In fact, Ryu ahead by a few CS.
Ryu's outlaning Scout here. This is a matchup where Syndra should have the early pressure and then the potential to roam, because Ryu was really good at stacking up his Qs. Was watching the matchup a little bit. He kept stacking his Qs on minions. One, getting the push, and then going for aggressive trades with the empowered Q onto the Syndra, forcing Scout backwards in the lane.
Ooh, trap being set up in the top lane, though.
Yeah, Mouse playing so far back.
Last time he fell for this, he actually blade surged to pick up a cannon creep and fell into the jungler's hands. Jankos cancels his back.
All right, Odoamne playing scared here, but we have the roam from Syndra here. Is H2K aware? The pink ward's going to reveal it, and right now they have to think quick.
Well, in goes Mouse. Does get the stun with the Equilibrium Strike as Jankos comes in. There's the kick underneath the turret. He gets out onto Jankos. So can they turn it? Scout grabs the kill. Odoamne still looking for more, but can't get anything.
Just the absurd damage, because almost everything went kind of lopsided for EDG. The fact that Scout gets kicked underneath the tower, excuse me, Mouse gets kicked underneath the tower. Scout misses his stun, but
another one. There's the flash. The stun comes in. Mouse picks up a kill. In the bottom lane, the action does not stop as Forgiven's getting hit by the curtain call. He's trying to get out. All the bullets are landing. Vander has the shield. And Meiko almost falls down, but EDG don't get anything on the bot side.
Yeah, Ryu pushing in the middle here, trying to make up for something here. He was pressured in. We saw it. Syndra, with Lost Chapter, with Blue Buff, will always push in that mid lane. Translate that advantage to top. H2K, they had to think quick. They had a good idea, but they weren't quite sure if they had enough HP to execute it. The answer was no, so EG win out in both bot and top lane at the same time while Ryu tries to salvage. Look here. They see it coming. At this point, they were aware of Syndra. They're like, okay, guys, we're trying to outplay. Don't go for the safe play. And Jankos just ends up dying to the damage from Scout. So much damage from the Syndra.
ridiculous damage. Again, Mouse gets kicked underneath the tower, Scout misses his stun, and they still end up winning the 2v2. And then Odoamne gets too close, eats the stun, and it's a 1-2 punch.
You gotta watch Faker. Everybody by now should know about the range of that QE.
Well, Scout's going to steal away a Raptor. That's the big one as well. That's some sad stuff. Jankos, he's probably going to be focusing mid lane now.
Poor Ryu. He's like, guys, I'm ahead in CS in a matchup that I should be behind in. I've had pressure at times.
Yeah, Pawn's off stage going, Ryu, I understand. I know exactly what's going on, man.
He pings the miss. He's like, guys, he's coming top. Just whatever you do, don't die. Whatever you do, don't give him 2 kills. Syndra comes back. 2 kills.
Yeah, does have that Lost Chapter as well. Fiendish Codex picked up, so Morellonomicon on the cards.
I'm glad that you brought up Pawn, though. So kind of touching very quickly on the differences between Scout and Pawn. The desk, is explaining that the team feels very comfortable. Again, if you haven't watched much of the LPL, EDG played their entire perfect split with Scout in that mid lane. Pawn only played 5 games to Scout's 32. So he's very comfortable in this lane. And as I say that, they're actually setting up for a dive.
Yeah, trying to find something Forgiven. Still underneath this turret as they're setting up. Mouse flashes out of the way of the Q from Jankos. Forgiven's going to go down. Mouse survives. It's disaster for H2K.
Yeah, and this time EDG is prepared for the strategy of the opposing team when they target Mouse. He backs off on the top lane, but it was too late for H2K to either back off, or even if they did, they would lose too much. So Forgiven elected to stay and ends up dying here. And not only does he go down, the first tower also drops to EDG. And right now, EDG is pulling so far ahead.
I've seen this movie before.
Flash.
See whether Mouse can actually stun the right target up here as the Q has landed. Odoamne in trouble. The tower doesn't take him down. Scrap shield's good. And Jankos can still just stay hit. Nice dodge on the Q as Mouse has cleared out the minions. Can he actually take down Ryu? Oh my, he's got the pull. Everything's fine, but H2K need 3 to take down Mouse.
He needs 3, which means his Scouts hitting the mid lane tower. Meiko is joining here. He did the perfect execution in defending that dive. We all knew he was going to die, but what only mattered is how long it would take for H2K to take him down. At the cost of that 1 kill is an entire dragon and half a tier 1 tower in the mid lane.
And of course the tower on the bottom side too.
Redemption for Mouse a little bit right there to kind of silence some of the critics, playing that tower dive impeccably well.
Yeah, it's sometimes really easy to extrapolate trends and patterns out of 1 or 2 games, but we have to remember we gotta give these guys a couple of chances on the world stage here. Look at Forgiven. Meiko starts tanking, he can't shift the combo, and at that point it's over.
Yeah, Deft, a lot of damage. ClearLove cleans it up with a takedown. And you're exactly right. I mean, remember, the reason why they didn't play Scout is because they didn't want to put the rookie on the Rift first up. Mouse, he had no choice. It's the only top laner we had. So, of course, had to have his first game at Worlds against INTZ and struggled. But we'll see whether this is going to be comfort for Mouse now. He's had a few good plays.
Somebody had to take over for Dyrus.
Wow.
Oh, that's called baiting the crowd, Krepo.
I mean, he said it himself. Sure, he agrees.
It was a bit rough up there, but definitely shaking off the jitters. That said, yes, he is sitting with an assist and a kill in his back pocket, but the CS difference between Rumble and Mouse, or excuse me, Rumble and Irelia, actually means that Rumble's still pretty even relative to gold. It's about 12 to 13 CS that equates to a kill's worth of gold, so Odoamne is not too far behind his respective matchup.
Definitely, but he's investing in a slightly more defensive build too. Very scrappy build, but he's not hitting his teamfight power spikes as hard because the delay of the double magic pen comes at the cost of building that Seeker's arm guard. ClearLove right now contesting some vision.
In trouble, there's the flash. Jankos is going to find his way in. ClearLove is most certainly dead. EDG can't find anything off the back end. We'll see what H2K can do.
Contesting vision or getting caught, did not have eyes on multiple members.
Good stun from Scout. Forgiven, uses the heal, gets himself out.
Forgiven, contesting some spheres in his face. But definitely ClearLove, a little over-eager there. Really good read by Jankos though to go for that play.
Double stun, make that a triple as Meiko comes in, knocks up Ryu. He's got the pull, remember,
no.
Cole. He has his eyes set on Forgiven. Good train set up here by H2K, but Vander still almost gets taken down.
Bend it like
He's
Beckham
curving
on
the
that
bullets.
last shot. Does mean that they don't have a lot of health to support and to, ooh. This is dangerous.
This is very scary as Deft. We'll get some damage back onto Ryu, but good poke from the Vladimir. Not necessarily a combination of words that I'd normally be saying.
Yeah, so multiple members shoved up the tower because their health was so low. But Ryu managing to pull H2K even.
And a lot of people were talking about, you know, Scout versus his counterpart in lane, and it feels like EDG have better intangibles when he's playing. They feel more comfortable, and it is actually showing a little bit in the way they're poking here. These setups between Deft and Scout are almost like perfectly timed. Every QE combo from Syndra leads into a deadly flourish that either connects or zones, and that allows EDG the pressure, and they're using that pressure from the mid lane, and they kind of let it flow over in the top lane. Not only do they get equalizer here, they get another turret here, and they're definitely in control of the game. And the onus right now is on H2K to fight back and find an opening.
I mean, everyone understands that Nidalee is so quick and fast, dominant through the jungle, but a lot of people also forget that she's great at seeking towers, using that steroid on her primal surge, aiding in that attack speed, and when she walks into a lane, she can typically get whatever she wants for free.
Well, now EDG looking for this Rift Herald. See whether they give it to Mouse or to ClearLove. Of course, ClearLove has taken one. There's the True Shot Barrage, but it was pulled out pretty close, to be honest.
Wouldn't
Mouse
kill
is
it,
going to
though.
get it. No, I don't think so. It's got
Rift
a
Herald
lot
is
of health.
tanky.
So something to note is that they did end up giving the Herald to Mouse on that Irelia. Before EDG took the Herald, they actually gave it to their jungler and ClearLove. It's actually something fairly common in the LPL to give it to the jungle, especially when you're on a dueling style champion. So we'll see if Mouse actually makes use of this and looks for that 4-1 and that split push pressure.
Yeah, he'll definitely be spending all of his time in the side lanes. If he joins the fight, it will be with a teleport or simply a flank. Jankos right now, this is a bold invade, just blind. I think H2K is definitely looking for ways to make up with the map loss they have right now, because if we take stock of the CS right, look at Forgiven right now. He's down, catching up right now, but he was down over 20 CS earlier here, so they're definitely playing catch up in matchups that they should be winning.
And right now he's actually taking farm from Ryu here as well, so it has meant that Scout was able to catch back up. As Mouse face checks, and is going to pop. Does, you know, survive for longer than we thought, but that's Ryu grabbing a kill.
Well, sound him in your jungle! They literally contested your red buff, moved away. Mouse, we're praising him. It's like, guys, don't judge him from one game. Just a fluke.
Don't judge him from one
Just jitter, shake it off.
It's fine.
Just let him face it twice.
Yeah, now he knows that there's 3 people bottom side. EDG can make plays on the top side of the map. It's genius in the end.
Find
That was sarcasm, everyone. Ryu is going to shove this one out. So we'll see whether this tower will fall down. Of course, he's completely uncontested. Has a cannon creep there as well. So with that red buff burning down the turret, EDG now looking to try and answer on the top side with inner turret.
Yeah, if this composition from EDG wants to isolate more objectives, they need to do it in a 1-1-3. But Syndra is not a good side laner, and it is pretty hard to just randomly group mid here for additional turrets. So they're really playing 2 people, 3 people on the side lane every time and hoping to keep the other lanes even. Because they're so far ahead, they can't actually do that here. They always have the looming threat of a Meiko dive, and then even if it fails, they can just push in the wave, move in between the lanes, and have their support drop vision, and then look for picks on the next rotation.
Well, now you can see Mouse picking up that mini wave that Ryu was shoving in on the bottom side. Still has his teleport as EDG set back up this siege onto Odoamne. He doesn't have Equalizer. Forgiven and Vander off to the side, and there's the dive from EDG. Bit dangerous now with 5 members of H2K up here, and the Q lands from Jankos, but now still a little bit too far forward, and he blew the teleport when they may not have necessarily needed to.
Yeah, he definitely wanted to come into that fight there.
Yeah, communication looks good across from Deft and Scout, but Mouse still, you know, kind of wonky on that TP. It means that they lose a very valuable summoner that Odoamne still has in his back pocket. So we'll see how H2K can now exploit the map as they walk towards Dragon.
That was a good move from Scout as well to move all the way up to the top lane there, because he used the pressure he had there to facilitate the rotation top, because H2K was aggressively reacting to that push. They really want to look for a fight here, because they're hitting some of their mid-game spikes here with the Rumble, forgiving, stacking some items, still not quite there yet, but if they can get a good equalizer, they can definitely win some fights by surprising EDG.
And the nice thing is with the lane assignments, the fact that where Rumble is and where Vladimir is and their power spikes right now, we've already seen that Ryu will threaten that side wave. So having the TP, I think that there's a lot of potential for H2K as long as they are able to survive this mid lane's siege to kind of play the rest of the map and try to pull EDG apart.
Speaking of EDG as well, I mean, Deft going for the old school Jhin build with the Essence Reaver first. I like it. 12 CS up at the moment. Does scale very well towards the later stages of the game. I like cooldown reduction on the Jhin, but I like a lot of weird things.
And definitely a build where you can just get more poke out with the Deadly Flourish, you know, more ultimates coming off cooldown as well. If you already have a lead, you don't need to go for early power spike builds, especially when you're playing as a laner that's just going to be safe. That should respect it. But definitely major props to the way the level 1 went down. Deft and Meiko punished Vander super hard, and even with a good gank from Jankos, they still came out ahead.
And it's really important right now that Forgiven has completed his Iceborne Gauntlet, simply because that item is so key for Ezreal to be able to clear waves effectively, giving him a lot more AoE damage or AoE chip on the wave coming in.
Does mean that he gets a 2-item power spike where Jhin would also as well normally. Ryu going to get stunned.
It means that they can leave Ezreal in this mid lane and he can actually hold the wave, especially with Karma. Meanwhile,
oh yeah, flashes the headbutt, but Deft flashes out of the way of Ryu as he makes his advance with the Hemo Plague.
I was about to say, it's pretty dangerous to just even attempt to 2v1 a Vladimir. That guy deals so much damage, but Ryu slightly telegraphs his flash, but in doing so, he dodges the combo, and Deft then with a good react flash. So honestly, almost perfectly played by both sides here in that engage.
Yeah, nicely done, but scary. EDG thinking that they could take that fight when it was looking a bit dicey.
The exploitable lane assignments that we were talking about earlier, the fact that Vladimir, Rumble, and Ezreal have really good itemization, that they can spread out along the map and just kind of stall the game and start to absorb more of this farm. You can see that right now in Odoamne in the bot lane. He's just been sitting there, chilling out, getting rich.
Certainly is. Over 20 CS in the lead. This wave will shove back through though, as the stun was dodged by Vander there in the mid lane, aiding with this wave clear attempt, but that tower is slowly falling down, and Scout is always threatening. In goes Jankos. Oh, the flash predict from Mount Scout. And in goes Meiko, but it's all just a disengage. Nicely done from EDG.
Yeah, I really like the respect flash. See Lee Sin first, flash first, ask questions later, because if you have time to think, is this guy going to kick me in a team? The answer will always be yes. Yes, he will. So the second you see him on a competitive stage, just instantly flash. Luckily, he also gets Jankos flash out of that one.
More orbs just flying around the mid lane. Set up here for Scout as well. We'll have that Scout of the Week available as Ryu just ignoring this damage. 2 items on the Vladimir already. Proto Belt already done.
Yeah.
A lot of magic resist.
And Ryu's comfortable in this matchup. Odoamne right now needs to fend off Mouse. He should be
There's
fine.
the flash. Mouse actually looking for the Blade Surge, but doesn't get it. Minions, I'll blame for that one.
Confident walk from Odoamne. He knew he was fine, knew he could trade flash and equalizer. But Ryu's actually playing pretty well and pretty darn confident, because he's aggressively wave clearing, realizing that he has skill pressure. Right now, he'll have to heal though.
Oh, there's a double stun. Still has the pull available, and that tower does eventually fall down. So ClearLove destroys the mid lane outer, and you've mentioned this many times before. Extra pressure available for EDG.
Yeah, because it just means you can push in and then get deeper vision into the enemy jungle, facilitate rotations, or just steal away the jungle.
I was going to say, H2K are doing such a good job kind of stalling out the game. Yes, they're slowly losing their towers. They're slowly getting chipped away, but they've kind of absorbed a lot of EDG's momentum that they created in the early game with this gold lead. I almost expect EDG to start moving into that blue buff and contesting it, but now actually the attention is going towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, they're reacting right now to a bit of a siege setting up by H2K. The second H2K see reaction to they will back off. They're just happy to get river vision. On the back end of that play though, ClearLove just cleared his entire jungle again, you know, furtherly bolstering that CS advantage he has over Jankos, because he was playing on the top side of the map, challenging Jankos' own jungle. Then he went back into his own jungle and quickly cleared it all out here, and that's how they're generating this gold lead that just gets slightly larger and larger every single minute.
And there's such an incredibly defensive build coming out of Jankos right now, looking for the locket.
Yeah. As well, you look over the side of ClearLove, a little bit more utility available with the Athene's Unholy Grail picked up second.
Definitely looking for the kick to win it. Jankos, one kick, one dream, one opportunity.
I feel like Lee Sin's relevance in a game is pretty much just a roller coaster. Early game, on fire. Mid game, you know, he's not super tanky, he doesn't do enough damage, so he can't really
I do not like
assassinate.
the idea of a roller coaster starting off on fire.
But
Especially
late
the guy is
game,
blind.
late game, it's just that one kick.
Forced a flash.
Tense.
Most certainly is. Waiting for someone to make a move.
Looking at the lanes here, EDG has side lane priority. Like, competitive players always talk in terms of priority. It just means whoever has the ability to push or actually has the pushing wave here. Irelia has priority over Rumble right now, can push it in constantly, which means she can either walk down or join the fight much quicker out of Fog of War with teleport, while Rumble is in vision dealing with that wave, and that will be something that EDG is looking to use. The problem right now is, as we highlighted earlier, Vladimir can kind of kill Jhin. So, in an ideal world, Deft likes to be mid, but Scout also likes to be mid here.
Well, in goes Mouse one more time. I've seen this one before. We'll see whether Odoamne is going to bring it to the same end. ClearLove's going to clean it up. And EDG lose a lot of health bars, but do end up securing the kill.
Shoe on the other foot for Mouse right now. That must feel good, teaming up with his jungler and taking down the enemy top laner for once.
Do unto them as they do unto you. Mouse clearly got that one prepared. But yes, it's because Odoamne has no vision around that blue side. He's playing as Fog of War, and if he wants to aggressively push out to get some semblance of map control back, he has to take risks. And then suddenly, ClearLove can jump into that lane.
But this does put pressure on Mouse and ClearLove to try to siege that inner bot tower, simply because Ryu made a great response cross-map by sieging the top outer.
And we saw also Deft respect that. Deft is playing very far away from Ryu. He's realizing the kill pressure. And Odoamne, it was almost, he had to go for it. Because if you constantly play at the tower afraid of a potential gank, you're playing so far back that you deny your team the lane pressure. It's just an unfortunate result of the early game that caused H2K to be slightly behind. But these residual objectives are always going to go to EDG. These Scarlet Crabs, the Dragons, the Baron setup. That's the problem right now for H2K. And that's why they need to find an opening where EDG is kind of sleeping and they need to pull the trigger.
Yeah, an uncontested dragon there that ClearLove was able to secure as he headed on down. Scout, of course, starting that up for him. Speaking of Scout, does have his Rylai's Crystal Scepter completed as well as the Morellonomicon. Blasting one should be heading towards either a Rabbidan's Death Cap, if I speak optimistically, but probably should be the Void Staff.
A lot of itemization coming in across the board as well. Deft moving up through his build. We talked about how, you know, EDG are okay to kind of sit back, let the game solve. They don't want to try to force too hard because they do have that back pocket Jhin that will be such a monster in that late game.
And it's at this point that we can start following people like Meiko right here. He's laying the foundations of the vision, which is the double pink ward in your own jungle. Make sure that they don't have wards behind you. You can't teleport in it. You want to double. He's basically walking for pink wards right now before using his sweeper, so he don't waste time once it's available again. And then once he runs out of wards, he kind of has to base. He obviously doesn't want to lose too much pressure. So it's a fine, delicate balance of basing too much for wards and still using that vision and aggressively defending it as well.
They certainly have the window, since Dragon is down, that they can play towards the top side on that, but being so respectful to H2K and not moving their vision line up further. It's just pretty neutral right along the river here. Normally you start seeing teams with this type of lead moving in, invading, but definitely afraid.
Yeah, and I think H2K would like an aggressive contestation as well here, because in a full blown-on teamfight, I think they're slightly more ahead. Rumble, much more teamfight presence than an Irelia, for example. And with a timely exhaust here, Scout's damage could be denied. If Deft then gets caught out, suddenly the gold advantage means nothing.
And Ryu's pressure is amazing. The fact that he just walks into the enemy jungle, clears out a pink ward so easily. Mouse is able to take down this inner turret on the bottom side of the map. Odoamne a little bit slow on that rotation over. This Vladimir is looking huge, and we'll see whether he can control things in the fights to come.
Yeah, just the vision dance and making use of pressure. We've talked about how the LPL teams are looking a bit more controlled on the international stage after their boot camp, not running headfirst into fights. very controlled EDG, waiting that one out and getting their prize.
I mean, EDG definitely improved in the macro game even throughout the season. You don't go undefeated in your region with having no understanding of the game. We often joke about the LPL region of saying it's always fight, 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 no macro here. And while it may be true slightly for RNG, EDG is definitely a different beast.
Certainly is. We'll have to demonstrate it now as we move into the later stages of the game. 27 minutes in, 5,000 gold is the lead for EDG. Nothing too impactful. H2K certainly with a shot, especially if he has anything to say about it. As Scout flashes forward, Forgiven in trouble, but that was so close. No cigar.
You literally just flash Arden. He just had a couple of spheres on the floor, threw them all at Forgiven's face here. Trading flashes here. H2K was yielding the bot lane vision. Like, they don't care about anything on the bot side of the map. Their only play right here is to extend the uptime of this Baron, hopefully to equalize the gold gap and find a way in here. They don't care about Dragons at all. They know they will be spread too thin if they try and contest every objective. Jankos, because people reveal on the left side of the map, is just going to go in for a sneaky steal, but he has no vision to support him.
Well, Mouse is coming down. ClearLove there as well. The Bramble back, head back into its shelter, I believe. There's the reset. So Jankos not going to grab that, but isn't going to get caught out as well.
Yeah, it was a little bit scary for a second there simply because Scout was also disengaging, but ultimately Jankos decides better of it.
Yeah, it gives a little time to Odoamne to at least push out the wave slightly. They saw a couple of members in the jungle. They see mid pushed in here, so they can do kind of the math, you know, if there's 4 dots in mid lane, that means there's only 1 in the bot lane. Maybe you can 1v1, maybe you can't. So H2K kind of escaping from the pressure. A little moment to breathe, but right now there's again vision denial coming in. Meiko sweeping all those wards. And then in a minute from now, it's going to be rough for H2K again.
Well, Ryu's going to set up shop back towards the top side of the map. Odoamne heading towards top side as well. They're scared of this Baron pressure. EDG do certainly love. Last one that they took, I believe, started off at about 20 minutes into the game. But 9 minutes now. He has been available and unable to be taken.
A lot of attention is being turned towards the Infernal Drake as well as the spawning blue buff here for H2K.
And they'll have to yield all of that.
Oh,
There's
no.
nothing they can do. I mean, they can take 20 minutes to kill this blue buff. They'll probably still get it. Because there is no bot side control from H2K. They've put all their eggs in the top lane basket here. Rio as well, using the little vision that they have to aggressively push in and at least have 1 point of pressure here. Delaying EDG from advancing the vision line, stopping them, sneaking in wards here and there. That is H2K's plan right now. Build up Rio so he can carry.
That front line of defense pretty much trying to stall out long enough for Forgiven and Odoamne to step back up in those team fights. Again, H2K are not out of this. Yes, you have the big scaling potential and threat of Jhin sitting for EDG, but Ezreal's late game damage output is absolutely disgusting, especially in the hands of someone as talented as Forgiven.
The problem is, you can dodge skill shots. You can try and shift away and get out, but when Scout hits late game critical mass, he can literally flash you RU. And what are you going to do? You can be the best player in the game, but when Riot decides that all these spheres are flying into your face, there's nothing you can do to counter it.
Very good point. Unless he buys the last item, Zhonya's.
Yeah.
That'd be the dream. That'd be a little bit too much, I believe. Jankos head back in, but doesn't find too much in his own jungle. Topside's been cleared out as well, and H2K have done a good job stalling things out. EDG still looking for a way to get themselves in here. Slowly that lead does look to be extending, despite from Ryu always getting that side lane farm.
Although we do have some setup on the bottom side of the map. Mouse.
Odoamne is going to get Equilibrium struck, but in goes Ryu. He's going to get the slowdown onto Mouse. Hemoplague doing some work. Jankos is going to come in as well. ClearLove is down here. Mouse is still alive. Good Primal Surge for that one, and Scout's going to make his way in. Jankos gets speared up to ClearLove. Good bullets, and Meiko grabs it with the Ignite. Ryu still just causing a ruckus here in the backline, but good stun from Scout. Massive pulverize. Ryu just still can't do enough damage, and it's a double kill for Mouse.
And this is the LPL that I expect to see right there. Mouse saved by his team. The fact that EDG were able to collapse around him. Obviously wasn't expecting Ryu there because he immediately flashed out as soon as Vladimir showed his face.
I don't think anyone knew Ryu was there. He was ignored for the majority of that fight.
It feels like H2K didn't even know Ryu was there because that fight was not played out perfectly at all. We'll see it once we get to the replay here, but like the Irelia surge kind of got him out of the equalizer, so it's a poorly placed equalizer from Odoamne, and it bought enough time for the team to follow up, and then Vander's pathing was very questionable. EDG right now turning to Baron here, and this is the window they were looking for. They took it slow and steady and forced the mistake out of H2K.
Well, here goes the True Shot Barrage. Not going to be enough. That would have been the dream. Oh no, ClearLove holds onto his smite, takes down the Baron.
Alright, pay attention to what Mouse does. He goes in, realizes he's in big trouble, flashes. H2K decide to overchase, but look at the mini-map where Forgiven and Vander are. Mouse dodges, spear, equalizer, then Meiko comes in with the combo, and at this point, this fight is being won by EDG because the follow-up comes from the current call. Vander passed all the way around. Look at Vander right now. He's like, where do I go? Left, right. Okay, I guess I'm joining fight. Oh no, this guy is scary. Flash combo, Vander dies. So it's a complete whitewash for H2K. They're not on the same page. They are over-chasing after a failed engage, and they end up giving up everything they've so carefully stalled for in one single play.
And now this gold lead has ballooned even farther out of control. 8K now in favor of EDG. Sieging is going to be incredibly easy, especially because they have the Baron buff on their back, but more importantly because they are a Jhin and Syndra comp. They have the threat of the dive with the Alistar. Syndra approaches the tower. You have to respect that stun range. And then Jhin can open up the curtain call anytime he likes and just chip away at your health, force you back.
Not to mention the Nidalee also being there with a fair bit of poke of her own, and that Primal Surge in case anyone gets poked out.
EDG taking it slow, forcing just H2K to force. The group has 5 members. Then Irelia and Nidalee go to the other side, so they have 2v1 pressure. It's actually pretty smart here. Instead of playing a 4-1, they're going for kind of a 3-2. They fake the 4-man pressure in the mid lane, force 5-man reaction from H2K, and then surprise H2K in the bottom lane with ClearLove here. So ClearLove, pretty cool to follow him in these sieges.
And they actually have a lot of safety to play the 3-2. Normally you can't do this because they'll just engage on you and kill you, but against Syndra, she can disengage so well with you know, the multiple spheres and having a wider stun range.
Well, they are able to take down the inner turret. Decent stun onto Jankos, but doesn't last too long. Curtain call coming in. Deft holding onto his bullets. Forgiven takes 2. Jankos is blocking for him. He's going to take the next couple, but that's going to mean the inhibitor turret falls down. Ryu gets headbutt poked. Can they get the engage onto the Vladimir? I don't think so. They just take the turret and go.
The second Deft pulls that curtain up and starts firing his bullets, everybody pauses, trying to block, make sure they don't screw over their teammates, and then that frame, 10 seconds, turret just goes down.
Looks like they're really aiming just to take this inhibitor and move on. Forgiven was stunned, but no one engaging. Just take down the inhibitor.
This entire game are using kill pressure, or kind of fake kill pressure to get objectives.
Yeah.
You're like, we're gonna kill you, psych, take a tower. We're gonna kill you, psych, take an inhibitor. And H2K, every time they have to step back because they lost the early game. They're under pressure, you know, potential kill pressure from Scout coming in. So really calm and collected approach here from EDG.
It's utilizing poke correctly and abusing with the health bars, like you said, that faking that kill pressure, which, again, the LPL as a region isn't really known for our ability to run poke composition. So very nice to see this come out of EDG. The Deft said that this had to be a statement game, that EDG really haven't shown themselves as contenders yet for this world title, despite have that reputation going in. This is a good look in terms of varying up their play style.
The problem I have with the result is that there's still variance in terms of what happened in the early game. I would have loved to see this game without the face check from Vander early on, accessing the laning advantage from H2K, but that is too long gone. We need to look at how clean EDG close right now.
They're certainly looking to close pretty cleanly at the moment as the inhibitor turret falls on the top side. Mouse could still be in trouble as Odoamne, just gets surged on. Jankos gets stunned. Mouse going for the 1v2. Now just looking for the inhibitor as Ryu's turning up. Getting over the side with the blade surge, but he's just buying time for his team. Nexus turret number 1 is going to go down after the bottom lane inhibitor, and there's the headbutt pole onto Meiko. Ryu dealing with it. Decent stun, but the pull comes out.
Ryu against the world right now for
What
H2K.
it feels like.
Yeah, has to be a lot of vindication here for Mouse. Opens the tournament, such a poor performance. Everybody speaking not so nice things about him, you know, picks the same champion in the Irelia and proves that he can actually survive in the top lane too. Dodge a lot of the early aggression, buys a lot of times. Yes, he falls, but in an entirely different setting with an entirely different purpose.
Yeah, think about the guts of that, to go back to your Irelia pick as we take another look at this play.
Yeah, I mean, he's so far ahead. And again, so we talked about earlier, you can flash a lot of Rumble's damage. If he's in stasis and has locked that Flame Splitter in the direction, you can just flash out of it and the Equalizer at the same time. Then we see some Irelia mechanics come out while the turrets and the inhibits go down here. And right now, EDG, they've only got one thing left to do. Final push should be the game.
Only one Nexus turret remains. In fact, only one turret for H2K at all on this map. It's a gigantic gold lead of 13,000. EDG with 3 of the 4 dragons this game as well. It's been a strong performance. Bit of a mid-game lull. H2K were able to buy some time. EDG stranglehold for the last 10 minutes.
And you know, we talked about how they got so far ahead in the early game due to Vander's face check, especially in that bot lane. So yeah, it was a bit of a hiatus. H2K did a good job absorbing a lot of EDG's momentum, but at the end of the day, you still got the Jhin back there. So if your head just continued to scale up, I'll meet you late game.
And the problem with it is the numbers don't really reflect like the impact of that situation, because they stay even when they should have been ahead. You know, there's this blind CS lead that just wasn't there. The fact that they stayed even in this matchup, it's so impressive by Deft and Meiko. And it all plays to how they handled the level 1 here.
So this is the desperation coming from H2K. They understand that this is kind of the final stand, the 300 moment. You see Ryu looking for the flank.
He's going to get possibly onto Deft here as well as the equalizer does come down. Lots of damage onto Scout. Good hemo play because Ryu's got singled out. Still has the pull, remember, as Vander looking to cause some trouble. Jankos very low as Ryu against the world. In the backline, good headbutt from Meiko as ClearLove exhausted, but Primal Stone spear lands in the back of the Vampire's head, and Mouse going nuts in the backline. Forgiven's going to die. Odoamne in trouble as Deft grabs the last auto attack, and EDG will take down this inhibitor and possibly take down the game.
And this is why Mouse has the confidence to say, okay, the Irelia pick didn't work the first time, let's go again.
That is incredible. EDG, their first truly decisive victory here at Worlds 2016 against H2K.
And they can definitely be happy right now. They tie for first place in the group, 2-1, and with a game that tells us that they should not be dropping more games in the future here. They should be able to beat every single team that is left in this group. They've lost against IDC, but they've beaten both H2K and HQ, who look stronger.
Yeah.
EDG right now looking, again, top favorites for that #1 seed.
And right now, these tied teams, AHQ and EDG for first place in Group C, both showed very controlled games. AHQ didn't look towards the Baron until the very end, ran a very similar composition, being very poke heavy. Now EDG come out, follow their LPL brethren, as they've seen on Worlds, and look for a very controlled, slower pace game. Gone are the days of just random aggression.
But again, this is another game. You see EDG come out, bowing to the fans, looking for redemption.
And I'm glad they used the word redemption there as well, because this feels like Mouse's redemption story. The guy looked fantastic in the late game, had still some struggles in the early game. It's not necessarily like we're now calling him a god, but still able to service the top lane fine.
And this is another game where a couple of key moments in the early game have such a large cascading impact on what happens later. What would have happened if Vander and Forgiven pulled ahead, you know, if that also allowed Jankos to put pressure topside? Could they have put Mouse in the dumpster again, or would he have survived 1v2 like he did later on? So many questions that get left unanswered because this game kind of snowballs in multiple directions.
And ultimately, it just comes down to that best-of-1 format. I'm so keen to see these two teams rematch across from each other, because again, we knew it was going to be an explosive bot lane. Meiko and Deft, they went all in when they knew that they had the advantage, but I would have loved to see what Vander and Forgiven could have done, given their summoner spells.
Yeah, assuming something would start off evenly. Another thing I want to mention is the fact that ClearLove got on the Nidalee here, and it's not necessarily a pick that he was normally known for, but looked pretty damn good.
I mean, that said, it wasn't the ClearLove that we're used to seeing in the LPL. It wasn't like he was applying pressure, you know, being the primary facilitator for his lanes. It was the fact that, you know, Deft and Meiko had won the bottom lane so hard, were making and forcing H2K to respond to that applying pressure, and then ClearLove just kind of got to adapt and roam around.
On the other side of that coin, though, ClearLove did keep Jankos down in the jungle. He was outpacing him, stealing away some camps here left and right, and then putting a lot of vision to allow his laners to play with more confidence. So in that sense, he achieved what every Nidalee player wants to do. It's very rare does a Nidalee player go in and just clap you 1v1. That's not what he does. You win by outpacing, by vision. I think that's the way EDG as a team approached it here too. One thing to watch here was just the adaptation from going 1-1-3 lane, roam up your mid laner, suddenly a 1-4. 4-1 split push became a 2-3. You know, they mixed these kind of constant lane rotations up by surprising the opponent, and ClearLove was always the variable that was moving in between the lanes. So in that sense, he played very well.
Yeah, and EDG certainly did as well. And now we're going to head over to Shox, who's standing by with EDG's victorious carry.